Welcome back, everybody, to Edge of the Rabbit Hole. I'm author and ghost historian Mike Ricksecker. With me, as always, is my co-hostess, Victoria Monday. And down in the chat room this evening, Nicole from Guiding Echoes, Nicole Guillaume, is helping us out. We are still in the search for our new chat moderator. So if anybody wants to step up and volunteer, that'd be fantastic. But she has volunteered at least to help for this week. So thank you, Nicole, for volunteering to help out down there in the chat room. We have a fantastic show coming up tonight. L.A. Marzulli is with us this evening. He's an author, lecturer, filmmaker. He's penned 8 books, including the Nephilim Trilogy, which made the CBA bestsellers list. And what's with the 3?
No, 10 and 3.
Oh, okay, 10, 13. Okay.
13 books.
13 books. I got this. This was the bio I was given. So but tonight we're going to be talking about giants, Nephilim, story behind the Watchers, mound builders, ancient America, ancient history across the world. This is going to be a fantastic conversation. This is material I am always interested in, and I know Victoria has a lot of questions as well. So without further ado, L.A., welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike and Victoria, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. Great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So we'll just start with some of the basics, and then we'll get into some of the deeper topics. Where did your interest in this material come from? This is something I've seen a lot of in recent years, but you've been doing this a long time. Where did this start for you?
It started with a book that I read about 30 years ago by a man that was to become my mentor, Dr. I.D.E. Thomas. The book was called The Omega Conspiracy, and it changed my life. Utterly changed my life. And I read that book, and I read his source materials, bibliography, and I contacted him. He lived also in Southern California in Century City, and I interviewed him and met him, and we became good friends. He passed away in 2014, but I received my honorary doctorate from Dr. I.D.E. Thomas, which was just a real honor for me. And I would like to think that we've carried on his work. I think if he was alive and he saw what we've uncovered, I think he would be beaming ear to ear. At least I'd like to think that. So that's kind of what got me into it. But that's, literally 30 years ago. Before that, I was always interested in the arcane. I mean, always. I was drawn to things like late great planet Earth, Hal Lindsey. But then on the other side of the coin, Eric von Daniken's book, Chariots of the Gods, life changer.
Yeah, it's a classic.
Peter Tompkins' Secrets of the Pyramid, of the Great Pyramid. I mean, Carlos Castaneda. I was with a guru for 3 years. My third eye was opened. I had spirit guides. I mean, I've been there and done that, And later on, I had a Paul on the Road to Damascus experience, which was absolutely life changing. That's 40 years ago. Going on 41 years ago this June. I've never looked back. And the new series, Armor Trail of a Nephilim, boasts 6 films. We're working on 7, which is called Lost Civilizations. 8, 9, and 10, we've got the film for it. We just got to edit it. So we're very busy. And I'm 70 years old. So it's like, most people are playing shuffleboard someplace. I'm out running around with, cameras and interviewing people. I love what I do. I'm passionate about it, and I hope that passion, is translated in the film.
But you wouldn't have it any other way, would you?
No.
Yeah, honestly, I would not take you for 70. You have so much energy about you right now, and you clearly have a passion for this material. So that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. So I hope I have so much energy when I'm 70.
Yeah, I just turned 70 in December. So
well, happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. And here we are.
Here we are. So let's absolutely. So let's talk about the Nephilim, the giants, the Watchers. There are a lot of different theories and ideas about what these particular beings were. So and you have this fantastic series. The last one was on the DNA. So what have your findings been?
Well, basically, and I talk about this in all the films, there is a hidden history which has been deliberately obfuscated from the peoples of the world. This history is all around us. You said, Mike, you're in Ohio. and we talked off air about your visit to certain mounds like Cahokia outside of St. Louis, but I'm assuming also the Octagon Mound, the Great Circle Mound, Miamisburg. I mean, the list is endless. And archaeologists, it's really a joke. That's Cahokia right there. I've been there once. Want to go back and really dig into it more. It's the largest mound in the Americas, the largest mound in the Americas.
Yep.
We're looking at about upwards of 250,000 tons of earth. So what does that look like? What is 250,000 tons of earth, and why does it matter? The official narrative is that Native Americans used primitive tools. They used clamshell hoes, digging sticks, flint hoes, this type of stuff. So what we did in our second film, actually our first film, The Mysterious Mound Builders, in the series, we hired a flint knapper to make a replica of a stone flint hoe that was museum quality, except it's new. It's not 6,000 years old.
Right.
So he made the implement, the hoe. We hired a fit laborer. We went out to a place, the second largest mound in America is called Poverty Point. It's in Louisiana. So we weren't digging at the mound, but we were digging very close to it. And he's out there, and we show all this on the film. So he's out there using this hoe, and he's digging and digging, and it's kind of a joke. And he gathers the dirt up with his hands. There are no shovels, and puts it into a bucket instead of a deer hide, and promptly carries it maybe 100 yards, maybe 150 yards to where the mound would have been. He dumps the bucket and then pushes it down with his feet. Well, when I show this at conferences, I show the footage at conferences, the audience is howling with laughter. They are just absolutely, I mean, it becomes apparent when you start deconstructing this ridiculous narrative set forth by modern day archaeologists, in my opinion, with all due respect to them. It just doesn't work. So what does 250,000 tons of earth look like? Well, there's another series of mounds in Ohio. It's called Fort Ancient. Been there one time. Got to go back. So much information. And this is 3.5 miles of continuous earthen walls. It's been there forever. There were 66 gates originally between the mounds. 3.5 million tons, 3.5 miles of earthen walls. Some of the earthen walls go up 20, 30 feet, all right? It's a very mysterious site. Mainstream archaeologists tell us that Native Americans built this with clamshell hoes, digging sticks, all this type of nonsense. Okay, so there's this guy called Docent Jack, and Docent Jack is lecturing everybody. We show it in the film. And he says, what does 200,000 or 190,000 tons of earth look like? Because Fort Ancient is smaller than Cahokia.
Right.
So we can't do the 250, but we can surmise what that might look like, 250,000 tons of earth at Cahokia. So let's go with around 190,000. Let's round it up to 200,000 tons of earth at Fort Ancient. If you took a dump truck and filled that dump truck, and then here's the dump truck, then you bring another dump truck next to it, doink, and then another dump truck next to that, doink, and doink, 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 doink. And you do this, dump trucks, bumper to bumper, end to end. Want to take a guess?
Probably several thousand.
Try 200 miles
Oh, wow.
of
Oh,
dump
wow.
truck end to end.
Wow.
200 miles. This blows the whole thing out of the water. And this is one mound. You know, this is one series of mounds Fort Ancient. When you get to Cahokia, which is 250,000 tons of earth, and the plaza is 45 acres in front of the mound. You see the road there at the bottom? The plaza's on the other side. So originally, the plaza led up to the mound here.
That's the artist's interpretation of
There you go. The
ancient.
plaza that you see here, I spoke to one of the archaeologists. The plaza that you see is level within 4 inches.
Wow.
And that's
That's
after
impressive.
thousands.
Yeah.
Extremely impressive. So how was that done? So we are looking at something that's incredibly enigmatic and mysterious. But, you know, and by the way, that's the Mississippi River in the background.
Right.
So it's always by a waterway. The mound was absolutely humongous, the largest mound in the Americas. And they really have no idea. They say they do, but they really have no idea how it was constructed and by whom. They'll say things like, well, it was the Hopewell, it's the Adena culture, it's the Fort Ancient culture. They make up names. They don't even know what the people who were there called themselves. That's why, they call it Cahokia and Monk's Mound. Monk's Mound is named after a group of a religious order that camped on top of the thing. So that's what we're looking at. And that's just one mound. Just one. Monk's Mound, Cahokia, that's just one. It's the largest. But when you start deconstructing things, there are 10,000 mounds in your state, Mike, Ohio. 10,000 mounds in Ohio alone. So let me get this straight. All First Nation people did all day long was make these mounds. For what ends? How do they compact the earth? And when you look at an Adena mound, they call it an Adena mound. They don't know what the people called themselves.
Right.
They make it up. They just make their name up. Oh, it was the Adena. It was the Hopewell over here. I mean, they make this stuff up. They have no idea of what whoever did it, what they called themselves. So, a mound, you would look something like this, right? Nice, gentle slopes. Well, the Adena mound looks about, I'm trying to, so you can see it, about like something like this. Yeah, there we go.
Gotcha.
The angle is very steep. And for all of you out there, I'm not doing any type of Masonic hand signal. Don't start emailing me.
This is all symbolism right here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So the sides to the Adena mound are very, very steep, and it sort of begs the question, how did they compact all this earth? And there's a mound in West Virginia, which we visited several times. And this was like back in the 1800s, when they went into the mound, they realized that the dirt was packed so tightly that they didn't need to shore it up with timbers. And they actually made a museum in the interior of the mound. And we show a picture, a lithograph from, we're not sure when it was, but it's a lithograph. It's an old picture. And it shows a woman in a full-length, a hoop dress. So, it's very tight fitting up here, and then below the waist, it hoops out. And they show a man with coattails and a top hat. 1870, 1880, we don't know. But some circa that time around it. Behind these guys, this woman with a child and a man, and the man is very close to this very large skeleton, probably upwards of 9 feet. And we published that in our film, Mysterious Mound Builders, Mathematical Mysteries of the Mound Builders. And immediately this archaeologist tried to deconstruct it. Well, what he did is he took the photograph that we had. It was a photograph of a lithograph that was posted on the museum, all right, in the museum proper. We photographed it. Fritz Zimmerman talks about it. And what he did is he photoshopped so the skeleton no longer looked like a giant. And we held his feet to the fire. And see, why are you doing this? Why are you lying to your people and telling us a bunch of hooey when here's the original photograph? I challenge you to a debate right now. A fair-minded one, nothing vituperative or dart throwing, that type of thing. Let's talk about it. Can we have a conversation? Because what you did is totally dishonest.
Yeah, and it seems like that's been quite common over the decades, or even the last 150 years, that a lot of these giant skeletons were discovered. And you see newspaper articles dating, like I said, like about 150 years ago, 100 years ago, where they were discovering these things, and then they disappeared, or the discovery was covered up. Why is this happening?
Well, because it basically goes against the Darwinian paradigm. It's something that they don't want to deal with. First of all, it hails back to the Native American First Nation people, who tell us that there were large 8, 9, 10, 12-foot giants roaming the earth. They had 6 fingers. They were cannibalistic, sexually deviant. Now, we've heard this from numerous people that have come on the record. Excuse me. First Nation person, Chief Joseph Riverwind, talks about it. He's in all three films. There's a man by the name of, I can't think of his first name, but his last name is Mirabal, who came on the record in On the Trail of the Nephilim and talked about the giants, the Paiutes, Sarawinamuk. I mean, it's from coast to coast. All the tribes talk about this race of red-haired, six-fingered, cannibalistic giants, which roamed the Americas. So all of a sudden we find evidence of that. Well, what does that mean? Then it goes back into the biblical narrative that says the Nephilim were on the earth in those days, the days of Noah, and also afterward, when the B'nai Ha-Elohim, the sons of God, saw the daughters of men, the human daughters of men, took them as wives, went into them in the biblical sense, and sired these giants, known as the Nephilim. They were a hybrid entity, part off-world interdimensional entity and part human woman. So they're a hybrid. They're a hybrid entity. And wherever the Nephilim are, they're incredibly decadent. They're cannibalistic, sexually deviant in all sorts of ways. And they would eat the flesh and drink the blood of human beings. And this was global. And we find evidence of it on a global level. So there's a phrase I came up with, Nephilim architecture, fallen angel technology. And all these sites that you go to, they are highly charged. At least they were highly charged sites. Some of them are, some of them still are, some of them not so much. The proof of that would be Hunbat's men and Mayan elder going to the Great Serpent Mound in Ohio and performing a ritual there. We show this in our third episode, Secrets of the Supernatural Voices from the Other Side. And we clearly demonstrate and show that what was going on with Hunbat's men and the Mayan elders, in our opinion, is not a good thing. He's opening up a gateway. He's opening up a portal. The question is, what is he opening it up to? And what's our litmus test to ascertain and discern whether these entities that he's opening the gateway to are benevolent or malevolent? You know, how are we going to know that? And the proof text, when I'm at conferences, I say, okay, so let me ask you this. Someone knocks on your door at 2:30 in the morning. They have their head down. You can't see what they look like. And they say, can I come in and use the phone? How many of you would allow that person into your house? Please raise your hand. No one ever raises their hand because no one's, that nutso.
Oh, come on, take a chance.
It's not going to happen.
Who
right?
has phones? I mean, here's
Yeah,
your
right.
cell phone.
So the bottom line is Hunbat's man and the Mayan elders are opening up this gateway at the Great Serpent Mound. And in the film, we also show this man, Henry Gruver, who passed away a couple of years ago. And he was trying to close the gateway and also mitigate the blood rituals that were done there. And he went and did that. And as he's walking off the mound, he's hit in the solar plexus with this unseen force. He's alone. No one's there. It's snowing. He falls to the ground. His knees come up to his chest, and he can't move. He's paralyzed. And he realizes after about 15 minutes, as it's snowing, that he's going to die. He's going to freeze to death unless something happens. And he eventually gets out of it. There are forces that are much greater than the malevolent ones that control that site. And basically, Henry prayed, and the God of the universe released them with a warning. Don't come here unless I tell you to come here. Don't do what you're trying to do unless I tell you to come here. And Henry was not told to go there. So he acted on his own, just figure, well, I'll just go there and close the gateway here. Not so fast, citizen. And Henry was there well in advance of 2012. And in 2012 is when the Mayan elders showed up.
Let me ask you something here, because I've been to a couple of these sites. I was on Eagle's Mound a few years back at the Great Circle Earthworks.
I know where you've been there.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And I had a drone, fully charged, get about 24 minutes to the battery.
And your batteries got drained.
Battery got drained. About 2 minutes up in the air, done. So, I do believe these sites are still energetically charged, but they've been
Absolutely.
so mismanaged over the years. They've fallen into disrepair to some degree, at least. So, how much more so were these places energized, eons ago?
And what's interesting is we don't know who built them. I mean, I think I know who built them. That's the whole basis of the film. It's Nephilim architecture. And then they just vanish.
Yeah.
I mean, the Native Americans that were there when the white men came into the Circle Mound area, they asked Native Americans, "Well, who built this?" And First Nation people said, "We don't know. It was here when we got here." Now we can believe that, or we can go, "Well, these people are stupid and they don't know anything, and they're just primitive savages." Or we can realize that their oral history is very sacrosanct to them, and they take a great amount of time and care to preserve their oral history. What's interesting is Native Americans go, "It was here when we got here." Whoever did it disappears. They just completely disappear. So there's this guy at the turn of the 18th or the 19th into the 20th century by the name of Cyrus Thomas. There was all this ballyhoo, if I can use that word, a lot of arguments to who built the mounds and what's going on here, and is it a lost civilization? So Cyrus Thomas was in charge, and he basically stated this. And when I say this at conferences, the audience just breaks into laughter, and rightfully so. So people were saying it looks like we got a lost civilization. We find giant skeletons, artifacts, which don't make any sense. Cyrus Thomas said, "Nope, you're all wrong. This is what we're going to say. This is what happened. Native Americans built all these mounds, but they just forgot that they had done so."
Oopsie. Well, let me ask you a question, because I also heard that at America's Stonehenge, they found giant bones and artifacts and things. And also out with the Anastasi, there were giant skeletons found. Do you think these people were attracted to these sites, the Native Americans and whomever, because they are sites of power, and they were just already there? And they said, "Hey, we need to go over here."
We were there at the spring equinox at the Great Serpent Mound, and there was a coven of witches who were there performing a ceremony. They know exactly who the serpent is and who they serve, and that's why they go there. That they're trying to draw in serpent power. Same thing with Hunbat's men. He's all about serpent energy, serpent power. Who's the serpent? Who's the prince of the power of the air? So very, very malevolent entity, but he really, in some ways, controls the planet, at least in part right now. And he did set up a network, which we see globally. All these sites are interconnected. And we showed that in the fifth film in the series, the Axis Mundi, the center of the world. That's what Axis Mundi means. And so Axis Mundi, which is America's Stonehenge, is connected to all these different sites. Something is going on here. And you show this, hardcore physical evidence, but these people, see, that they go through this mind tunnel called college, and they learn this stuff, and they just regurgitate what they're told. Many people never, ever look at go, "You know what? I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid here. I'm not buying the official narrative. Something else is going on." Because if you say that, you don't get the grade, and you'll never become an archaeologist, and you'll never work or never have a dig site and all this other stuff. Well, I'm not an archaeologist. I was on a show with this guy called Jeff Jansen. It was Sid Ross, one of Sid Ross' satellite shows, and I'm a Supernatural. And we did 4 shows together. We were only supposed to do 1. Then he was intrigued. We did 2, 3. After the 3rd, he goes, "Come back at 4 o'clock. We'll do the 4th one." So I did. So we did 4 shows in one day, which was great. But Jeff Jansen got some almond thing in my, let me get a.
That's right. Go ahead and grab a sip of water.
Jeff Jansen called me a supernatural archaeologist. And in some ways, that's really what I suppose I am, because I'm armed with a view of the supernatural. And having been on both sides of the aisle, I mentioned in the beginning, spirit guides, Carlos Castaneda, vision mind quests, vision quests. I mean, I went to Silva Mind Control I was with a guru for 3 years. I mean, I explored the LSD, mescaline, but not recreational, to try to pop in, what's going on, where am I?
Right.
And of course, when you do that, it's like, there's a posh party going on, and you come riding in, breaking down the front door in a 57 Chevy or something, going, "Hi, I'm here." And when you read Graham Hancock's book, Supernatural, he takes the ayahuasca and he pops up and he goes, "What are the Greys doing here? I don't get it." And he keeps taking it over and over and over again to try to figure stuff out, and which you really shouldn't do, in my opinion. But, that's Graham. And he's at the very end of the book, he just says, whoever these entities are, they are obsessed in creating a hybrid entity with us. You're in my wheelhouse. That's my wheelhouse.
Right.
That's the whole Genesis 6 deal. That's the days of Noah. That's why the flood happened. That's why the Nephilim were there. It's complex. It's supernatural. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the research that we never really talk about, because you don't want to spook people. But some of the spiritual, supernatural attacks that we've had at these sites are just off the hook.
So it's still a classic struggle of good versus evil, basically.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Exactly what it is.
Okay. Can I ask a couple of questions?
Yeah, Victoria, by all means, go ahead. And
Okay.
I know I've kind of taken the question so far, but
no.
go right ahead.
Okay. This will get to a point, eventually. But there were 4 races of giants in the Bible, right? Is that did I read that correctly? And one was called the Zimzum, and that they were the buzzing people. They were like the long
buzzers.
necks.
Right.
Okay.
Anakim, long neck.
Okay.
Zamzumin, the buzzing ones.
Okay. And they were described by what they looked like, not like, hey, his name is Fred or his name is Ted. They were described by their characteristics. So,
right.
And they were described as the fallen ones. Some people say they were angels, maybe they fell from grace, but I was thinking, what if they were not really falling, but they descended down to the earth, like they were extraterrestrials? And perhaps these were the insectoid extraterrestrials, because the Hopi talk about the ant people, and that's also in ancient Egypt, and they all have the elongated skulls, and they go down into the earth when they couldn't live on the land anymore. So, and then there was like the what was the Anakim, which is kind of
long neck,
okay, which reminded me of the Anastasi, again the star people, and they're all connecting. So could there have been like, and even in Ezekiel, it said, that the fallen ones came down and then they had tools of war or weapons of war or something like that.
Yeah, they did. Right.
So perhaps there was like a big, a war or some natural disaster or, what do they call it? Act of God or something, that couldn't be controlled, and they had to go underground to survive. Now, this is my question. I'm getting there. Could they have been extraterrestrials? And when they took people to live underground, could this be where the hollow earth theory started? Because, they were living in the ground to survive.
Well, there's only 2 paradigms one can embrace. Mm-hmm. They are either extraterrestrial or interdimensional. My position is they are not extraterrestrial, they are interdimensional. Okay. And I go with exactly what the text tells us, that the Hebrew says, the B'nai Ha-Elohim, which basically means fallen angel. When you say angel, immediately people have this, whoop, no, can't go there, sorry. They have no idea what you're looking at. It just means messenger. It comes from the Greek angelos. It means messenger. The bottom line is these are incredibly powerful entities that can manipulate space, time, matter, and energy in ways that defy our physics. That's what they do. And what we see with the Nephilim in what's called the Levant, or the Promised Land, when Joshua and Caleb go in about 3,500 years ago, there's a list of tribes that are there. Mm-hmm. The Anakim, the Zanzamin, the Rephaim, the Nephilim, the Emims, they all have different genetic characteristics. In my opinion, what we are looking at is the fallen cherub, the prince of the power of the air, is attempting to create a hybrid being, an entity, which looks and can pass as human, but he fails all the time. And so the Horites is another one, which means cave dwellers. All right. Anakim means long neck. And we get into all this in episode 6, basically the DNA, because we're the only team. We are the only team to date. Now, there's a team at UCLA that said, well, you know, we examine these elongated skulls. So when we asked them, how many elongated skulls did you actually examine, they never wrote back. So much for academia, right? So with all due respect, I mean, come on, guys, it's a simple question. We are the only team that went down, extracted the DNA, 58 samples from 18 skulls. We're it. And on top of that, I interviewed doctors, surgeons, optometrists, chiropractors, anthropologists, archaeologists. We have now come to a conclusion that whatever this is not the result of head binding, when you bind a child with cloth and board and stuff and elongate the skull. Cranial deformation has nothing to do with that. This is genetic. It's genetic. And the haplogroups that we discovered, not all of the samples, but many of the samples showed Middle Eastern, including the Druze population, which was a mind blower, Middle Eastern, Eastern European connection. Well, that's Nephilim Central. And so that was our hypothesis, that if these were Nephilim, then we should see genetic aberrations. We should see haplogroups that point to Middle Eastern origin. And guess what? They do. But guess what academia does? This isn't, no, this is not in our wheelhouse, Marzulli. Everything was contaminated. And we're at the point where we can't get a DNA lab to even test our stuff anymore. If they hear the name Marzulli, Peruvian skulls, they won't get near it.
So you've essentially been blackballed.
Completely.
Yeah, that's a shame.
So,
that's science for you, right? That's science. So, you know, our challenge is, where are we going wrong, guys? 58 samples. Oh, it's all contaminated. Well, if it was all contaminated, you would have my DNA or Mondo's, and you would have nuclear DNA. Well, we never got nuclear DNA because the samples were pure. We were dressed in head to toe lab suits, masks on, eye coverings, hair things. I mean, head to toe, double sleeves, gloves, the whole 9 yards. We changed out of that lab suit every time a different sample came in. We blew each other off with compressed air. Are you kidding me? It's insulting. It's insulting to Mondo Gonzalez, the lead archaeologist, Rick, our anthropologist, Rick Woodward, and others. I mean, you know, come on, guys. I mean, how much information do we have to do before you'll even take a look at it? But they won't. We don't care because we know the truth.
Are they denying it because it doesn't fit the narrative? Because
exactly.
The narrative is all about controlling humans.
No,
Darwinism and all that kind of stuff, and you know, religion.
That's true. Religion. Look, religion is used. Some religion is used to control, but there is an ultimate truth, in my opinion.
Yeah, in everything there's a grain of truth.
There is an ultimate truth. What grinds them is it points against the Darwinian paradigm. It blows the Darwinian paradigm right out of the water, and they don't like that because they've all hung their intellectual hats on Darwinism.
Well, you know, at a time we all thought the Earth. Well, I didn't. Others thought the Earth was flat. You know, I mean, that was the popular conjecture at that time. But you know, we found it wasn't. So why not embrace this too?
Well, you know, Victoria, I appreciate your intellectual curiosity and your support. I really do.
Oh, thank you.
It's like we're swimming upstream, and I don't mind doing it. I know what the truth is, and by golly, by gum, I'm sticking to it, and I'll talk about it anywhere, and I have the evidence to back it up.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Well,
and hollow earth.
Yeah, there you go. Well, we do have quite a few questions that have come in from the chat room, so I do want to get to a few of these.
Okay, fire away.
Yep. From Alina the Fam, if giants were the result of fallen angels, do you think it's possible that's why there's highly evil and heartless people today?
Wait,
I'll say it again. Yeah, if giants were the result of fallen angels, do you think it's possible that's why there's highly evil and heartless people today?
Well, I mean, that's a 3-hour conversation, isn't it? I mean, it is. I mean, there's no way I can give you a 30. That's the thing. That's the question that plagues humanity.
Yeah.
Why do we do the things that we do? Why do we have to have a police force in every city on the planet? Why is that? Because mankind's proclivity is to lie, steal, cheat, and rob. That's what we do. Now, not all of us do that, but many of us do. That's why the prisons are full. That's why the police do what they do. That's why the guy today shot 2 FBI guys down in Florida. He was killed. Child pornography. 3 others were injured.
Saw that. Yeah,
That's how it works.
Terrible.
There are evil people. That doesn't mean, look, that person that was shot today and killed, who was watching the kiddie porn, he didn't start out that way. So there's many factors which contribute to a person, who they are, what they are, how they think. I mean, when I say I had a Paul on the road to Damascus experience 40 years ago, I'm not kidding you. This had nothing to do with religion or monks with funny haircuts or rosary beads or stained glass windows or stinking incense stenchers or altar boys or pews or some guy yelling and screaming with a Bible in his hand. Nothing at all. I was alone in my room, and I said, if you're real, because I had tried everything else by that point, if you're real, come into my life. And I waited. Nothing happened. About 2 weeks later, I woke up, very intense dream, and that was the beginning of it, when the dam broke. And then I was taken from the kingdom of darkness and brought into the kingdom of light. But when that happened, I was really plagued, hounded. They did not want to let go of me. I was not possessed, but I was definitely oppressed to the nines. And it lasted about 2 years. Very, very intense. And I had no idea why that was happening. Now I look back at it, it's training ground. My whole life, I mean, it might sound like I'm boasting. Please forgive me if you think I am.
Fine.
I'm not. But my whole life has geared up to what I do now. I'll tell you a quick little story. When I was 5 years old, all right, I was 5 years old. So I couldn't read. Big Italian family, big table on Sunday. The parish priest is eating with us, the whole deal. Italian, right? The wine is flowing, the spaghetti,
there you go.
pasta, the bread, the homemade ravioli. I mean, the whole 9 yards.
You're making me hungry for dinner again.
Well, I'm making myself hungry. But that's what I grew up with. So my grandfather had this green hassock in front of his green chair, leather chair, and I used to sit on his lap. So one day I took the hassock and I dragged it into the foyer, and the dining room was right next to the foyer. And I got the family Bible and I put it on the hassock, okay, like that. And I started preaching to my family at 5 years old. And what I said to them was this: what is the truth? What is the truth? That's what I said. Now, I vetted this with my parents before they passed away about 4 or 5 years ago. Also, my uncle and my aunt, who were still alive. And when I said, did I do this when I was a 5? And they started laughing hysterically. And they said, yes, yes. And the more serious, the harder we laughed, the more serious you got.
Oh,
That's what I came in to do. And I didn't realize it until my 60s. That's when I started to actually speak at conferences and do what I'm doing now. I didn't do this 20 years ago. I was writing books, very happy just to write a book and, thank you very much. And then we got into filmmaking. If you had told me 40 years ago I'd be doing this stuff, I would have gone, run out of the room probably. But, that's here, it's unbelievable. I'm 70 years old and we're making films, and it's just awesome. And I believe that we're showing people, if they look at the evidence, we're revealing truth. We're presenting, here's the truth. And it jibes with the biblical prophetic narrative. It dovetails with the biblical prophetic narrative. And we're not talking this, this religious stuff. People, oh, you're very religious. No, I'm not. It's like, I don't think I am. I mean, oh, you're very spiritual. No, I'm not even that. I have a connection that was given 2,000 years ago. That's what changed the world, the ancient world, 2,000 years ago. And that same connection is given freely to anybody who asks for it. but it's a relationship. It's not religion. It's a relationship. And so, you know, I mean, I get Mark. Let me just tell you a story, okay? This is sometimes how it works, all right? So my wife is in the bathroom putting on her makeup. I'm in the bedroom. I'm getting ready to go. I'm impatient because I'm all dressed and ready to go, and she's still in the bathroom. And ladies, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? So,
I certainly don't. No, not me.
Of course not.
This is all natural.
And so it's 2017. I'm minding my own business. I'm just waiting for my wife. All of a sudden, he speaks to me. Not in an audible voice, but he speaks to me. He goes, Fatima. I just go, Fatima? And then I go, wait a minute. It's 2017. This is the 100th-year anniversary of the Fatima apparitions. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
I run into the bathroom. Peggy, we're going to Portugal. She looks at me like I've lost my mind. Right? A week later, we get a check from a person that we don't even know. I mean, I've never met this guy before. We've met him since for $12,000.
Wow.
Guess what? That paid for the airfare, the lodging, everything. We were over there for 2 weeks, and it paid for absolutely everything, the whole deal. Now, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And the film is very controversial. I will probably go back and re-edit it because that was my second and third film, and I know so much more about editing now and filmmaking than I did then. It's still worth the watch. A lot of good info, but I can sharpen it, and that's what I want to do when I get more time, and I will at some point, you know, between 2 and 3 in the morning. But
right.
That's how it works. That's how it's supposed to work.
Do you think you had this epiphany as a child? Because children really just, excuse my French, they just don't give a damn, okay? You know, they're open, they receive, and I have found as I've progressed through life, I just don't care about what people think about me anymore. And since I've adopted that, you know, so many wonderful opportunities have come to me. Maybe that's what it takes. You know, you just give up what people think about you, or you give up, you know, control, basically. You know, just live life.
Well, you know, there's an ancient prophetic text which talks about, you know, suffer not the little children to come to me. Mm-hmm. You know, unless you're like a child, you can't enter the kingdom of heaven. So yeah. Is that just, you know, happy words, or is there something else going on here? You know, that childlike innocence, that childlike faith. And look, none of us are perfect. I mean, I blow it every day. Everybody blows it. That's what we do. But we get back up and we press on and we continue. But you know, circling back to the this, or tying this into the supernatural, if these are in fact Nephilim sites, what we talk about in the third film, Secrets of the Supernatural, Voices from the Other Side, we say, Russ Dizdar goes, one of our colleagues that is in the film, Russ says, if these are Nephilim sites, then we should see evidence of it. They will be charged, and we show that. Let me tell you a story. I know we're running out of time.
No, you're good. You're good.
So we are at the highest place in Newark, Ohio. All right, and it's a park, and it's this huge burial. It's a huge hill that goes up, but it's the highest area in Newark. All right, and it's called Geller Hill. Mike, you might know it. Geller Hill is what it's called.
It sounds familiar.
So we're up there, Fritz Zimmerman and I, my wife's up there. We've got a camera person with us, and also the Newark Paranormal Group is tagging along with us. They called Fritz and go, hey, we understand you guys are coming in. Can we come with you? And Fritz asked me, and I said, yeah, just make sure they don't get in the shot. And of course, they were constantly in the shot.
Of course.
That's what we do.
Yeah, I mean, thank you very much. So it's a fine mist on Geller Hill. I can't fly the drone. We can't film. All right. So there's a forest about 50 feet, 50 yards, whatever, a short distance away. There's this, I got something in my eye here. Excuse me. There's this manicured forest, beautiful path that winds its way down, and everything is groomed. It's really nice. And we go in there, and we're out of the rain because it's just a very fine mist. But it's enough to can't fly the drone, can't film. So the Nerd Paranormal group was with us, and this woman called Gailey, she pulls out this little device and turns it on, and all of a sudden I hear the word "Evo," and I go, "What? What's that?" She shows me, and she goes, "Well, this is an obelisk." I go, "Oh, really? What's an obelisk?" And she goes, "Well, if there are entities or spirits around here, this enables them to communicate with us." So, I know nothing about obelisks. I'm not really thinking about obelisks or what this thing may or may not be. I'm trying to make a movie.
Right.
All right. So we wandered down the path a distance, and the thing spits out another word, witch. So we have evil and witch. And the light bulb goes off. And I go, wait a minute. I can't do this. This is high-tech necromancy, is what this is. This is high-tech necromancy. This is all on film. All on film. It's not staged, because you can't stage what the obelisk is going to do. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Evil, witch, and I go, and I say, I'm going to pray. I'm going to shut this thing down. So I prayed and shut it down. Not me, but a power greater than I. Okay, the one whom I represent. And I shut it down. And basically, I said, Father, if there are forces here, we command them to stop doing what they're doing. We shut them down in the name of Jesus. That's what I said. Okay. So she goes, should I turn it off? I go, yeah, turn it off. So she turns the obelisk off. We wait about 30, 40 seconds. This is all on film. It's all on film. So she goes, shall I turn it back on? I go, sure. She turns it back on, holds it like this, waiting. It's about 20 seconds goes by. The word holy, holy comes up on the obelisk. And she does this. This is the pay dirt for all the nonsense. She does this. It's like that. She's never seen anything like it. She can't believe what she's seeing. And we sat down with the North Paranormal group and talked to them afterwards. And I said, have you guys ever seen anything like that? And she said, no, we've never seen anything remotely like this in all of our adventures and everything else. The obelisk, for those who don't know, has about 5,000 words in it. So just do the math on that. The chances of the word holy coming up after I pray, and they shoot me out of there. Marzulli, get out of here. You're shutting everything down. Get out of here. So I walk back to the car. They spent another 45 minutes there trying to contact the spirits. They couldn't get anything.
You broke the forest. That's amazing, though. Yeah.
Yeah,
sometimes...
really. It's all on film. And Secrets of a Supernatural. By the way, shameless plug. You can go to our streaming site, streaming.lamarzulli.net. 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 You can download all 6 for like $25. Binge watch them all. 6 hours.
We do have the link down in the description, so you can go ahead and get that link. But that's great that you put that out there, because when this goes out as an audio podcast later, they'll need that. Yeah.
You're only in it for the money, Marzulli.
There's that too, right? Yeah, I'll say that. A couple other questions here that we'll grab from the chat. This is from NA. Do you think descendants of the Nephilim live today? If so, how do we tell who is one?
It's shifted.
What do you mean by shifted?
It gets into, and this is what this is another 3-hour conversation. It really is. But the bottom line is this, that the Nephilim all go away after the cross. Basically, that's it. And the fallen one changes his tactics. And now we move into the whole, exactly what Graham Hancock's talking about. The same type of thing, except it's different. And this is where people have come up to me with encounters they've had with hybrid entities. They're not giants anymore. They don't have 6 fingers, but there's all sorts of weird stuff going on with them. And we've had not a plethora of reports, but enough to know that that's the end game. That the same, look, there's an ancient prophetic text that says it'll be like the days of Noah when I return. So, okay, what differentiates the days of Noah for many of a time in history. It's the presence of fallen angels and this hybrid entity known as the Nephilim. It doesn't say exactly like, it says it will be like, similar to the days of Noah. And that's exactly what's going on with the UFO phenomenon. Women are taken, ovum is taken from the women. Men are taken, sperm is taken, or they're forced to mate with a hybrid entity. We've heard that from numerous people, and on it goes. It's real. It's absolutely real. It's burgeoning and not going away.
Okay. And speaking of UFOs, Robert Hanna asked, do you believe the ancient UFO sightings were the same beings from other dimensions?
Yeah, I think that I call it the coming great deception. Congress has 180 days. They've demanded all the different intel organizations to cough up their stuff on UFOs. They have 180 days to do it. It's actually less than that now. So you can bet your booties that, drawer number 3 in the final cabinet with all the good stuff will wind up in the incinerator, guaranteed. They're not going to reveal everything, certainly not to the American people. Much of it will be redacted, but I was on another show about an hour and a half ago, okay, and I talked about we are on the 7th rung of the disclosure ladder. We are there, the 7th rung. So it's constantly moving upwards. Commander David Fravor, what I saw was tic-tac-shaped object on Tucker Carlson's show, right? Fravor, F-18 pilot on Tucker Carlson, was not of this world. Luis Elizondo on Tucker stating that we have metal from crashed UFOs in our possession. That's rung number 2. Rung number 3, Chris Mellon comes back on Tucker Carlson, also other shows, and basically says, we've tested the we've tested the metal, and there are isotopes in it not found on this earth. That's rung number 3. Rung number 4 is when the Pentagon admits that UFOs, United Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, UAPs, which is just another name for UFO, unidentified flying objects. They just changed, the initials there to have more acceptance, are real. So UAPs are real, UFOs are real. That's rung number 4. Rung number 5, the government comes out and states on the record that we have in our possession off-world vehicles not created, not made on this planet. I mean, you would think that people would just go, oh my gosh, where are they from? Nothing, flatline. That's rung number 5. Rung number 6, which is really interesting, David Fravor comes back on Tucker Carlson's show again and basically states that when he got near that tic-tac-shaped object, okay, the thing jammed his radar. That's an act of war. Rung number 7, which is where we are now, basically Nick Pope was just on Tucker Carlson. I interviewed him, by the way, for our one of our shows on UFOs coming up in the not too distant future, hopefully. But they've got 180 days to basically release and to Congress all their information on UFOs. So we are now on rung number 7. I think rung number 8 will be some sort of video, maybe from Roswell, maybe from Aurora, maybe from another crash site, where we'll actually see the craft. I mean, it'll be mind-blowing.
So
and of course,
how many rungs are there?
Huh?
Sorry, how many rungs on the ladder are there?
Well, we don't know.
Oh, okay.
If I knew that, I'd be a genius. But we don't know. So the bottom line, all the rungs on the ladder go up until full-blown disclosure. And full-blown disclosure to me, remember the way that it was amazing to watch. In the history of the world, we've never seen anything like it. When COVID hit, the entire globe locked down. The entire globe did it.
Mm-hmm.
We've never seen that before. The grid was lit up. Never in the history of the world, we've never seen anything like that. Well, can you imagine? Can you imagine if a mile-wide craft parks over New York City? Game over. Game over. That's all the news media, the whole thing, everyone will be talking. That's it. That's all you'll hear 24/7, 365, what's going on. That is what I have termed and called and coined the phrase, the coming great deception. Because these are not extraterrestrials from some other planet.
Right.
They are interdimensional beings.
Do you think everybody would panic? You see, like the old Brookings report, and what would possibly happen if everybody found out that we're not alone in the universe, something like that. A craft showed up over New York. Do you think everybody would, today after we've been so inundated, with the possibility?
Programmed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
all these years of all the sci-fi movies and what have you, and now we're getting kind of like you talked about with the realms, piecemeal here, piecemeal there. Would we really panic these days?
well, let me ask you something. When the Pentagon states that UFOs are real, when the government comes out and says we have off-world vehicles not made on this earth, and nobody does anything, there you go.
Yeah.
There, I mean, you would think there'd be a modicum of curiosity. Flatline. It's like the ambivalence is just, you can't even get my head around it. Yeah. So they go up the ladder slowly, right? It's a test. Well,
so they're conditioning us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, the American people did nothing on rung number 1, number 2, number 4, number 7.
Give them a little bit more. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what's going on. They ratchet it up. Nobody does anything. I do. I'm flailing my arms here, people.
So let me grab one more question here from the chat room before we wrap it up. From Sarah Youssef back on the elongated skull. So she was asking, so do the skulls have the same number of base pairs as humans?
Same as what? Same
number of base pairs.
That's a real interesting question. We don't know that yet because we don't have a nuclear DNA. All we've been able to get so far with the tens of thousands of dollars that we've spent is where the haplogroups, the origin of the skulls. We have that, and we know that many of them are Middle Eastern, Eastern European. That rewrites history. It does. It rewrites history, but the powers that be don't want to hear that. But, look, when I go in there, the machine doesn't care about my Christian worldview. They could care less. The machine it's nonpartisan. It could care less what my beliefs are. You put it in, it spits out the info. Now, if you guys don't like the info, that's not my problem. All right? Just because I have a hypothesis that seems to validate my worldview, that these are not, the result of cranial deformation. These are genetic anomalies, and they are global. They're worldwide. So we're looking at a hidden history which has been deliberately obfuscated from the peoples of the world. And that's why we're on the trail. That's why we're on the trail of an Nephilim.
On the trail, yeah, that seems to be kind of your motto there, on the trail, which is definitely cool. Definitely cool. So we're getting down to the end of the show. Last couple minutes here, LA. You want to go ahead and plug your site again and let everybody know where they can find all this great information? I'll go ahead and put the photos back up here.
That's the new book, The Counter Move, How the Nephilim Return After the Flood, and episode 6. You can see the elongated skulls there on the cover. You can go to lamarzulli.net, lamarzulli.net. Just, I've written 13 books and produced or co-produced upwards of, I think it's 18 films now. I've lost count, but whatever. And we're working on number 7, Lost Civilizations. But episode 6, DNA, the final result. I mean, if you're at all interested in this stuff, it's academic. And what I mean by that is, we've got some real heavy hitters, doctors, surgeons, anthropologists, archaeologists. In other words, it's not a Walt Disney movie, okay? It's not Star Wars. You got to pay attention. You got to listen to it. But the evidence is there, by golly, by gum, and that's why we did it. I mean, it's like what is it, 2013? So this came out in 2020. It's 7 years, 6 or 7 years of research that went into this thing, and like I said, tens of thousands of dollars to make this happen.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, guys, go ahead and check that out, lamarzulli.net. We have the links down in the description of the YouTube live stream, and if you're listening to the audio podcast later or the KGRA radio broadcast, well, you were just given it, lamarzulli.net. Check it out. All right, LA, it was great talking with you. Learned a lot this evening. Really do appreciate it.
Thanks, Victoria. Thanks, Mike.
Oh, thanks. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah,
this
nice
was a
to
great
meet you.
Oh,
there you go.
He's my people.
Nice. All right, have a great night.
Yep. Take care, guys.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. All right, L.A. Marzulli. A lot of interesting information there once we start getting into giants, Nephilim, the different theories about, that the Watchers and,
Oh,
UFOs and all of that. So,
wow. I forgot to ask about the Watchers.
yeah,
Next time.
next time. And all the mound building stuff here in America, all that is
Mhm.
really fascinating, and we really don't know how many mounds had been here because so many of them got plowed under for farmland when, we started populating
Oh,
the area. Yeah. So it's a shame.
humans.
I know. What's up with those
But
humans? Oh, what are those?
they were at the, oh, yeah. They were at America's Stonehenge. So, I mean, all that,
Yeah. Yeah. So he's done some
New
work up there as
Hampshire.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Out there in New Hampshire. So
Hmm.
we'll try to work on getting him back because there was some weird connection issue that night. Back, I think it was in November. Yeah. We'll have to,
Oh, yeah.
figure that one out again. So
Mercury. It was Mercury.
it was probably Mercury. Yeah. Yeah.
Who knows?
All right, so I do want to appreciate, I do want to say I appreciate Nicole down in the chat room handling the questions and giving you guys the links and all that stuff this evening. So she's usually doing a lot with with her stuff with guiding echoes, but she volunteered because we still need a chat moderator. So so if somebody could step up, that would be great. I do want to let everybody know that Beyond the Shadows, that will be airing the live stream version of it. We're going back to the live stream now. It's not just going to be audio. That will be airing basically through the Connected Universe portal. There's actually a secret Facebook group for it where it will be airing live. To get to that, to get the link, you need to be a member of the new connecteduniverseportal.com website. So, right now I have a 30-day free trial up there. You can check it out. It's got all of the, behind the scenes, monthly Q&A videos, articles, all kinds of great stuff behind sneak peek videos. There is even a community forum out there and all of that stuff. You can check it out, and you can also get the link to watch the Beyond the Shadows live stream tomorrow. Which we will be talking about, well, shadows, and I say that tentatively because it's going to go deeper than that in some crazy. Well, I don't want to because it'll come
Rabbit
out in
hole.
audio. Yeah,
Rabbit hole.
it's a deep rabbit hole. So basically, when I was on a very popular show last night, we were not allowed to talk about my book, A Walk in the Shadows, and the shadow entities that I talk about it because of
Copyright.
trademark.
Yeah.
Somebody
Oh, okay.
somebody trademarked shadow people, and so yeah, we're gonna get into that tomorrow. And we're going to talk all about shadows and shadow entities. So there you go. That's what's on tap for Beyond the Shadows tomorrow. I was telling Victoria beforehand, and you got immediately livid.
That's my Leo descending. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my God. It's like, I'm going to trademark chocolate chip cookie. Don't you dare talk about it. It's mine.
Yeah, and not only don't just talk about chocolate chip cookies, don't talk about cookies. Because that's basically what I was told. I cannot use the word shadow. It's like, that's not what was trademarked. So we'll get into all that tomorrow night. But just want to let you guys know, for the live stream Beyond the Shadows, go to connecteduniverseportal.com and check it out there. So
Just admit it. You've always wanted a portal, didn't you?
yeah, I got to credit Nicole for that because some film or whatever from some years back had grabbed that domain name, Connected Universe, and so I was like, okay, I can't use that, and so I was like, what can I make the website then? And because I do all that research and everything with
Right.
portals and vortices and all that.
Why
Nicole
not?
said, "What about portal?" It's like, oh, that's perfect, perfect. So,
Yes.
connecteduniverseportal.com. All right. So, and we're no longer on Patreon. So those that were Patreon patrons, some of you didn't get off the site in time, so I just paused that payment. I'll end up deleting or basically putting the kibosh on the Patreon stuff at the end of this month. I left it up there so people could still see the message if they log into the site. Like, hey, you'll see the message there. Go to Connected Universe. But there was nothing taken for this month because that's done. It's all at Connected Universe now. So here we go.
I'm looking forward to going over there. I need to catch up on my social media. I've been amiss. I was running with wolves.
Running with wolves. Yes. On Groundhog Day, you're running with wolves.
Mm-hmm. We were at the wolf sanctuary. So.
That's pretty cool.
Everyone should visit.
Yep. All right, everybody. Let's go ahead and get to the shout-outs. And yes, do check out the wolf sanctuary if you get down there.
Yeah. It's awesome.
It's pretty cool. All right, so let's go to participants tab. We have Auntie Coco's in the house, as well as Betty Lange. Great to see you. Kathy Cilento, good to see you tonight. Donna Liska, thanks for joining us once again. There's Alina the fam. Thank you, as always, Alina. Hunter Road Media's Fairy Queen, Diane Hilbert, is in the house. Thank you, Diane. It's Helen Espinoza and Jennifer Bloomer. Thank you very much. There's N.A. Papa Bear 001. Great to see you down there. There's Katie Palmer and Rick Gabbert. Robert Hanna, thanks for joining us tonight. Sarah Youssef, Stanton's Journeys, and Tim Schoen. Okay, for Tim. This episode of Edge of the Rabbit Hole is brought to you by Haunted Road Roast. It helps young ghosts. Here we go.
Paranormal entity.
Entity. I've had so many other things I've been working on. The T has not been a priority.
Sad face. Okay. Yes, podcast viewers, sad face.
Yeah. All right, let me scroll through here, see if there are any other names that didn't end up in the participants tab, so you can get your shout out. And if I didn't, of course, say your name. It's nothing personal. Just sometimes it doesn't throw everybody in there. I see Ramirez, 884. Oh, that's Carolina. Great to see you down there, Carolina. There's Tanya Sargisian. Great to see you, Tanya. All right. Anybody else scrolling through here? I think that is about it. Oh, G. Gatsby. Thanks for joining us tonight. Trevor Richards, thanks for joining us as well. Latan. I've seen some new names down in here.
Awesome. We're spreading
definitely. Out. Oh, and by the way, Emma Bejic. Is there? We did hit 1,000 subscribers on this channel over the weekend.
Yay.
So, yay, we hit 1,000. So thank you, everybody, for subscribing and getting us to that 1,000 mark. I know it's been a while because it's been a year we've had the Edge of the Rabbit Hole channel when we moved off of the Haunted Road Media YouTube channel and onto here, and Haunted Road Media has far more subscribers. So it's been a while building this channel up, but really do thank you all for that, and hopefully we'll continue to grow here even more. So. And there's Adam Tillery, always lurking. All right, great to see you, Adam. And thank you, Nicole, for putting the links down there in the chat, connecteduniverseportal.com. All right, appreciate it. All right, Victoria, that is it for this evening.
Thank you, Mike. This was fun and interesting, and I learned a lot.
Yeah. A little bit different topic first, but all this stuff, it all ties into our ancient history and the origins of our
connected.
World. So it's all connected. That's right. Connected universe. It's all connected. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, all right, everybody. Hope to see a lot of you out there for the Beyond the Shadows live stream tomorrow at 8 Eastern. Again, go to connecteduniverseportal.com to get that link. So, all right. That's a 30-day free trial, so you can check it all out for 30 days and then decide, hey, we want to stick around, and I hope you do. So, all right. Victoria, have a great night.
Thanks, Mike. See you later. Yep. See you tomorrow.
Yep, we'll see you tomorrow.
Have a good night.
You too. Good night.
Bye.